The Terminator, 1984. Let's talk about why this is a good movie.
I'll be back.
And I am back. I'm back. For good.
Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk retro review for The Terminator 1984. And I'm not doing this alone, I'm doing this as a collab with a great channel called Film Trigger. Stevie, Cade over there right now has dropped his review of The Terminator 1984. So every Tuesday in October, building up to Dark Fate, we're going to be dropping our reviews of each movie. Today, it's Terminator 1. Next Tuesday, it's Terminator 2, so on and so forth. And then, after Dark Fate hits the big screen, we will team up together on this channel and do a ranking of all 6 Terminator movies. So, when you're done checking out my thoughts on what I thought of these movies, definitely click the link and check out Film Trigger. He has a great channel, and check out his reviews of these Terminator movies. So without further ado, I'm giving the first Terminator movie a solid B+. It doesn't quite hit that A range, because I just don't feel like it's that type of movie that I could just rewatch again and again and again, but it's definitely a B+, because it is a solid, good movie, and I can see exactly why it's such a classic and it's so timeless. It has a very good story with a good heart and solid characters. The first thing that really drew me into this movie was the story, and what draws me very much into the story, it's not just the idea of Skynet AI taking over the world, humanity oppressed, but they find a way to win, so Skynet sends somebody back in time to destroy the mother of the guy that led the rebellion. It's not that, which is very good and very cool, but it's the time travel element itself. I like how this movie handled time travel, because for me personally, in my own philosophy of time travel, I think it's impossible to change the past, because if we could ever time travel and travel to the past, then it's just part of the past that we were there in the past. So whatever changes we think we're making, we're really not making any changes. Whatever, it's confusing, but that's my thing. I don't think you could change the past, but I like how this particular movie by itself handled time travel. I know it gets a little bit different as we get into the other sequels, but this one in particular I thought had a good take on it, because Skynet Arnold Schwarzenegger sends the Terminator back in time to kill Sarah Connor so that she can never get pregnant with John Connor and give birth to him. So just really eliminating that whole thing. But really what Skynet did by doing that was sealing their own fate, because you had Kyle Reese. And what's kind of cool about this to me is the picture. So you have Kyle Reese, who has this picture of Sarah Connor, and he just absolutely admires her. He travels back in time and has special time with Sarah and creates John Connor. If the Terminator had never come back in time, Kyle Reese never would have come back in time, and therefore never would have created John Connor. And then when the movie ends, you have that kid that wants to hustle Sarah out of $5 and snaps that picture of her, which just so happens to be the picture that he had, you know, in the future.
I used to always wonder what you were thinking at that moment.
In the few hours that we had together, we loved a lifetime's work.
And I just thought that was so epic. Well, I haven't seen this movie probably since I was either in middle school or high school. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. So it was really cool to get my mind refreshed on that and just kind of see how that all worked together. And so I really did enjoy that entire aspect of this movie. So I thought the story was pretty solid, and I thought the sci-fi time travel element was done really well. The characters were kind of cool. The thing that made me laugh, though, is you have Kyle Reese, right? But when he has that picture of Sarah Connor, what it reminds me of is a high schooler having a picture of Gal Gadot on their wall and having a crush on Gal Gadot. That's really just what it reminds me of. I know what the movie's trying to tell us. You know, John Connor knows that Kyle is his father, so he's trying to talk up his mother. He's falling in love. Kyle's falling in love with those attributes of John Connor's mother. He has that picture of her. He wonders what she's thinking. He's in love with her. A love that knows no time, no bounds, no space. It is true and unconditional love. So he must travel back in time to save her. I know, like, that's the message there, but I look at it and I go, yeah, you remind me of a high school kid with a picture of Gal Gadot on his wall. No matter how many times they recast her, Linda Hamilton is Sarah Connor. She's just that definitive role, even though so far it's only been Terminator and Terminator 2, and I'm looking forward to Dark Fate and seeing her return, because that is the real Sarah Connor. Arnold Schwarzenegger does a fantastic job playing a cold, emotionless, evil cyborg. It's cool to see him play the bad guy and play it so cold, and so I really enjoyed his role. Another thing that I thought was really cool about this movie is the visuals and the special effects. To the modern eye, yeah, they're freaking terrible. But when you think about 1984 and what they had back in the 80s, it's impressive. So the visuals, especially for the period in time that this movie came out in, are actually pretty impressive. There was only like one that was so awkward for me, it was cringeworthy. And it's when Arnold Schwarzenegger's pulling his eyeball out. And I didn't even cringe at that because it was so fake. Well, at one point it cuts to his face and it's this animatronic Arnold face and it looks so bad. If you saw this movie on the big screen in 1984, tell me what your first impression of that was. Did it look bad? Were you able to tell that was animatronic? Here in 2019, having never seen it on the big screen, I'm looking at that going, oh, that does not look good. Beyond that, it is the 80s, and it looks very 80s, but when you consider the time period it was made in, and you look at those visuals, you gotta stop and go, wow, that was pretty amazing. I mean, James Cameron, really good with that kind of stuff, and he did a great job directing this movie, and he did a great job making these characters stick with us, hence we got, 4 sequels and a 5th sequel coming out, which is really a reboot of the 3rd one, but we're all excited no matter how many times this thing gets remade. Yeah, shows you what a good job he did. So what did you think of this movie? I'm giving it a solid B+. Are you looking forward to Terminator Dark Fate? Let's talk about that in the comments. Go over there now and check out Film Trigger's channel and see what his thoughts are on the first Terminator movie. And next week, we'll be back with our Terminator 2 review, building all the way up to Dark Fate. So while you're down there leaving your comments about this movie, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian, hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for the very next time I do a movie review, a ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. And if you like what I do here, check out my Patreon page. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.